Welcome to the Model Car Hobby Podcast with your host, Luka C. Now here he is, Luka C.
Well, hello, my fellow car milers. How are you doing today? We've got a great episode here of the, it's a new name and I always forget it, but the Luka C Model Car Hobby Podcast. I think that's what it's called. Yeah, okay, we're pro here. But I've got Chris Bell and Josh Reese. Chris Bell of ScaleSpeedGarage.com and Josh Reese of VCG Resins. And this is really cool having these guys on. They're doing some neat stuff. I got a few of their things. They're fun to play with. And it just enhancing our model car hobby every time we get people coming in and creating stuff for us to just have more fun with our little toy cars. Oh boy, that gets people mad when I say that. Whoops. But thank you guys. I appreciate you guys coming on, man. This has kind of been something we've been talking about getting into works, and really excited to hear about you guys, where you came from with this and what you're doing. And I know so far what I've seen, you guys are doing some cool stuff with you, Chris. You're kind of the designer, right? You're the guy on the computer design and stuff. And Josh, you're the one creating the actual thing we hold in our hands that we can get.
Correct.
Yeah. Yep. I got a few of your stuff like, oh man, your shifters. I was talking to Chris about this, and your shifters are crazy. Like those B&M shift. I got some of those and a few other things, and cool stuff, really cool stuff. But to really get this going, what I want to do, we'll start with Chris, and then you, Josh. Let everybody know kind of like what got you guys into the hobby. How long you been doing? Were you doing it as kids, or did you start later? Whatever. I'll let you guys tell the story. So, Chris, we'll start with you, and you go ahead and, well, what the heck happened? How'd this all happen?
Good deal. First things first, thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm really excited to be here. This is, you've been a constant companion of mine on YouTube land ever since I got back into the hobby, really. So yeah, my story, I built model cars, mostly model cars, some planes and ships and whatnot as a kid. And in fact, the very first model car kit I ever built was VW Street Machine. I loved pink when I was a little kid, so this screamed at me from the shelf at the local hobby store. So this was the first model car I built. I've since picked another one up because I have no idea where that one went that I built as a kid. But, you know, as I think so many of us go through, I kind of hit my teenage years, got out of building models, got into real cars, got into girls and school and everything else. And I really didn't get back into building models until 2018, 2019. I had spent a lot of years of my life actually as an adult in addiction. And so when I finally got clean, you know, I was telling my wife, like, man, I used to build model cars as a kid. I really enjoyed that. Maybe I should get back into that as something to do to pass the time. And so for my birthday that year, the amazing woman that she is gave me a model car kit for my birthday. And I was so excited, and it just kind of snowballed from there. I went to my first model car show shortly after I finished up that model, and met some amazing guys, one who's no longer with us, Grant or Slim, who really was so welcoming back into the hobby. And so I really kind of fell back into the hobby very hard. And at that time, a lot of my background as an adult had been in 3D drafting and design, but I had kind of gotten away from that and fallen into restaurant management. And around the time I started building models again, I got a new job with a restaurant chain as a manager, was going through training. My wife and I had literally just moved the weekend before for this new job. And I was in training right around February, March of 2020. And if you're a student of history, you know what happened in March of 2020. So I all of a sudden found myself without a job, but I had this real big passion for building models, for designing, and I had been interested in getting a 3D printer, and I thought, you know what, now's my chance. I'm going to just try and start a business. And so I did. I launched a business called Bolide Plastic Motor Works, designing and 3D printing parts and accessories for model cars. And I was running that for a while, and that was really when the 3D printing thing was pretty much in its infancy in our hobby. So there wasn't a whole lot of people out there doing it. And more importantly, there wasn't a whole lot of information about how to do it. And I started seeing more and more guys in the Facebook groups and on Instagram saying, you know, man, I really want to get into doing my own 3D printing, but I have no idea what I need. I have no idea how it works. I don't know where to get files. And so I thought, you know, I really am passionate about creating these files, creating really detailed, really accurate files for our hobby. But I also really am passionate about sharing information and educating people. So that's where the idea for Scale Speed Garage came along. I thought, you know, there should be a place where people can come and they can get all of that in one place. They can get excellent files to 3D print, but also they can get, you know, access to how-to videos on how to do this, everything from pulling that printer out of the box when you first get it, to getting it set up, to getting files sliced and ready for printing, all the way through the post-processing and maintaining and fixing the printer, all of that stuff. They should have access to troubleshooting help because, you know, in 3D printing, things go wrong. And sometimes you sit there looking at this printer and thinking, why are you not working? And so I took that idea and I created Scale Speed Garage around that, which is really the only website of its kind where people can get not just the files, but also the troubleshooting help, the how-tos. We also have an amazing members community. We do a once weekly Zoom call that's like kind of just like a club hangout where a bunch of us get together on Zoom and, you know, chat about building models, 3D printing, life in general. It's truly a highlight of my week every week. More recently, we've added things for members like courses in how to design your own parts using Autodesk Fusion 360, which is the software we use, which I think we'll show you a little bit later in this video, as well as things like discounts from partner vendors. So now we're going out and finding vendors that our customers love to buy from and going to them and saying, hey, would you consider giving our customers who are also your customers a little bit of a discount? And so that's kind of where we're at. I'm so excited I'm really proud of what we've built, and especially the community around it. Like, yes, I'm proud of the parts. I'm proud of the videos and everything else. But to me, model car building, at least for me, has always been about the community around the hobby. And so I'm so proud of this community that we've built within Scale Speed Garage, and really excited for what the future holds as well. We've got some really cool stuff coming out down the line as well, which I can talk about if you would like some more information on that. Absolutely. But as things would happen, I met Josh. We became members of a model car club here in Denver, right when Josh had first bought VCG Resins. And we, became fast friends based on the fact that we were both selling 3D printed parts. And after a while, it became too much to juggle Scale Speed Garage and Bolide and also throw a baby in the mix. My wife and I had a baby in the middle of all that. And so, eventually I decided, you know what, I probably need to let go of the 3D printing thing. And that's where Josh came in. Josh ended up buying Bolide from me to kind of help augment VCG. And it's been a fantastic partnership so far. Truly. not just business partners, but truly one of my absolute best friends now. And so I'm so grateful that I get to work with Josh on such a close basis. So I will now hand it over to Josh.
Yeah, well, that's super interesting. It's funny you talk about the restaurant management when you got into. That's what I was doing probably a few months before, like at the end of 19, I got out of it and I went back into convenience store management. I'd done that too. And so when the whole 2020 thing hit, I was an essential worker. So I was, and I ended up getting really sick from that, but that's a whole nother channel, let alone video. But yeah, that, and getting out of that, kind of doing the same thing as you guys, I'm restarting my resin business. I have been involved in resin casting for 30 years or so, and I've had a few resin casting businesses, and about Luka C products, and we're getting ready to kick that back in. So that's what's also cool about getting to know you guys and us talk together, because we're all kind of in the same industry and we all can relate to a lot of stuff, and we all basically we're all friends and we help one another out. It's not like everybody. I find that with other resin casters, other 3D printing guys, and everybody is cool and friends, and it's a great community. And along with, most of my friends are model car builders over the years. The closest friends I've ever had have always been model car builders. So your guys' relationship I can relate to with 100 other people I've been involved with over the years. So that's really cool how you guys found each other. And Chris, what a great story. First of all, I gotta say congratulations on getting over what you got into. And boy, you're really new. You're a youngster in this hobby.
Yeah,
really, I am. 2018 coming into it. And I've been steady at this thing since really 1985. I really never took a break from it. I didn't do it as a kid. I was like right out of high school. I just fell into this hobby, and it's just been the greatest thing in my life. But that's so cool. It helped you out with and inspired you to become the entrepreneur that you are. And then on to you, Josh. Let's hear your story. What went on with you?
So I actually started building model cars when I was, I'd say probably about 6, 7. Both my dad and my grandfather were model railroaders. So having models around and small scale stuff was something I was pretty familiar with. My dad would build the occasional model car, and I was always into cars, started out with Hot Wheels. And of course, I saw Dad build model cars. I wanted to build model cars. My very first kit that I ever built was, I believe it was the American monster truck, the USA monster truck.
Oh,
and
yeah. Remember that?
I sprayed so much red spray paint on it. It was dripping off the rocker panels. The orange peel was like no other, but boy, did I make it red in one shot.
Job done.
It was done. I had that thing built in about a day and a half, and fingerprints to go along with it that cured in it for years to come. That was my introduction to model cars, and I stuck with it for quite a few years until my teenage years, and then same school and friends, girls, real cars, getting into trouble. I'd pick model cars up from time to time. There'd be spurts of 2-3 years in between, and a lot of the friends that I had at the time, I was a punk rocker and a skateboarder, so model cars weren't necessarily looked at as a cool thing with my friends. So it was kind of something I did underground and hid. But I stuck with it off and on. And then after I got married, really didn't model much at all. Married, had a son, and my son he's actually going to be 16 next week. About 3 years ago, he came to me and suggested that we build a model car together. And the passion was instantly reignited in me. It was like a fire that just couldn't be put out. I dove headfirst back into it. We built the Revell 70 CUDA together, and then we built a Tamiya R34 Skyline together. That was kind of the end of it for him. He doesn't necessarily have the patience to build model cars. He's more of a video game kind of kid, instant satisfaction. But like I said, the fire was just burning in me again. And now as an adult with a skill level that had increased and a bank account that had increased, I could afford all of the cool new tools and new stuff that's out there. And at the same time, I had been a automotive technician for going on 30 years. And quite honestly, was getting really, really burnt out in the industry. My body just can't handle bending over the hood of cars 10, 12 hours a day. Don't particularly care for where the automotive business is going with all the electric cars, but that's a whole nother podcast in itself.
Oh yeah.
So while I was finding this passion again for model cars, I found myself looking for some aftermarket parts. And I didn't really realize how big 3D printing had become in the model car world yet. So I was still familiar with some resin engines, and I went looking for some resin engines and ended up on VCG Resins website and found a business for sale. And from the time I had started back to modeling, I had told my wife that I was done with the auto industry and I was going to find a way to make my passion that I've always had of model cars. I was going to find a way to make that my job and find a way out of the auto business that honestly I had never really seen a way out of. I had been in the business for so long, and having a wife and a son, I didn't really see a way out of that. So, I felt kind of hopeless for a while in the auto industry. And when I found VCG Resins for sale, it was this spark of there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Maybe there is a way I can get out of the auto industry. It was like everything was kind of lining up. Everything was just falling into place the way it should have. And this was, that would have been, 2020. So right at the kind of middle end of the pandemic is when I purchased VCG Resins. So I started out casting resin. And at the meantime, I had already purchased a small 3D printer for myself and was starting to play around with 3D printing. It became real clear to me real quick where the market was kind of going and how I kind of wanted to progress with the industry and the business. I saw an opening in the 3D printing world here. And at the same time, I saw this huge influx of people coming into the hobby because of the pandemic. All of these.
Yeah. You guys came in at the right time. It was amazing.
It was perfect timing. I mean, the hobby was on fire again. And seeing all these 3D printed parts, and at the time, there wasn't a lot of producers and vendors for it. And I kind of figured out real quickly where I wanted to go as far as the hobby business, that I wanted to kind of be on the forefront of this new technology. And I wanted to be one of the guys that was bringing this new technology to the community and helping to spread it around and bring all of these cool new parts to the community. Because if I like them that much, other people have to like them that much too, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So that, in a nutshell, I guess that's kind of where I've been in the hobby and how I ended up where I am today. I was real fortunate, kind of started going to some of the same model shows that Chris did. And like he said, we just instantly kind of connected with the 3D printing and the fact that we were both in the industry. And I saw what he was doing as a designer, and wow, I was blown away. It was unlike anything else I had seen out there.
Yeah.
From others. And once I got to know him and talking to him, his passion for the detail that he puts into all of his parts was a passion that I shared of what I wanted to bring to the community with my parts. So it became a real natural kind of friendship, and one of the best friendships I think I have ever had. I am so grateful for all of the friendships I have made in this community. Like I said, I hid my modeling for quite a while from punk rockers because I didn't want to get beat up for building model cars. I was a nerd.
Really, I can relate with that a lot. I'm an older generation than you guys, but when I was building model cars, like right out of high school, the thing that was crazy for me, I've kind of told this story before, if you know it or not, but I was playing in heavy metal bands in the middle 80s. Like really, I'm talking, it was my life, practicing every day, doing shows at, the local bars and clubs and stuff. I could be playing all week and all weekend, obviously, but I love cars. I had a car I was building, working on and stuff, and that's what got me into building the model cars. And I was hooked on model cars, and I remember going to a band practice once, and I kind of mentioned it. I can't remember, it was a long time ago. Something about model cars popped up. I build model cars and all this stuff, and they kind of like, what the heck? Dude, grow up, They weren't going to take me out back and roll me. I guess metalheads aren't as harsh as the punk rockers and the skaters.
Did you actually just show up to band practice with like model glue in your long hair?
Probably. Oh boy, guys. Well, I don't know if this is a treat, but here we go. Someone's knocking at the door.
All right.
Here we go.
Oh, you're going to let him in.
Come on in. There he is.
What's up, Chuck?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Senor Chuck, how are you?
Pretty good. How are you guys doing?
Doing good,
Doing
buddy.
well.
Chuck was kind of the orchestrator of this whole thing, and so he had to get home from work and get in on this with us. Welcome aboard, Chuck. How you doing?
Pretty good. So you guys been on a half an hour already, huh?
Not so much, but yeah, for a while I let them tell their history, their origin stories. So now we're ready to start kind of talking about. Oh, thank you. Oh,
we just been rambling.
Mail call.
Yeah, I just actually walked through the door, put on some comfy shorts. I still have a work shirt on.
Yeah, we were just talking about, how they all got started in this thing of model cars. And not once did we ever mention you.
Good.
Why would we? But no, yeah. So you're here ready to talk about the good stuff of what these guys create. And it's some pretty cool stuff. I know, Chuck, on our podcast, you talk about their stuff all the time and giving us updates of what's going on with both Scale Speeds Garage and with VCG Resins. Thought it was a great opportunity to have both on since they're partners, man. They're doing things together. So
Yes, they are.
you got anything to ask them or bring light to the subject?
I actually did. Well, these guys are the epitome of 3D printing. I mean, you've seen their quality.
Yeah.
And the design work is next to none. I mean, seriously. That guy. And that guy.
Good job pointing in the right direction.
Yeah.
Sometimes you go up. There you are, Chuck, down there.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Thank both of you so much.
Yeah,
That
100%.
really does mean a lot. I'm humbled that you guys think so highly of the physical product that I produce. And if I haven't said it yet, thank you for all of the support that you guys have shown. That has been one of the most amazing things to me, is how welcoming and supporting everyone in this community is. And it's been absolutely mind-blowing, and I feel like I've found my home and true friends. So thank you guys for that.
That's
I remember,
what it's about, man.
You're welcome. And I remember the first time I got a hold of one of Chris's parts. It was that flathead motor. You remember that?
Yeah.
I was blown away, man, when I got that. And it actually, and both of you guys, but the first time I ever met Chris, he sent me that motor. He comped me the motor, and I put it in that 29, and it placed it in Utah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a sneaky thing on my part. I was like, wait, I know this guy. The order came in. I was like, wait, I know this guy. He has a YouTube show. I'm going to send him this motor.
Smart move.
I kind of just met him by chance, really.
Well, and that's why Chuck and I do what we do with our YouTube channels and with the podcast. Is it's all about making this hobby better and better every time, and bringing to our viewers great stuff that's out there. Whenever we run into great people like you guys who are, me as kind of doing the same thing in that regard, I absolutely really look up to you guys, and guys like Joel from Iceman Collections and ProTech, Charlie over there, ProTech. It's the entrepreneurism which I am trying to get myself off the ground doing, and it's a lot of hard work. I know what you guys go through. It's risky, it's scary. And I mean, you both just told Chuck, you missed it. You'll get to see it when you watch this on my channel. You will watch it, right, Chuck?
I don't know.
Watch my crap.
I don't watch your channel.
Whatever. Anyways, but you guys both took risks. It's like, and Josh, it's funny. I used to be an ASC certified mechanic. I know what you're talking about. Got tired of that long time ago. Got out of it. Couldn't physically do the stuff anymore. And then Chris, restaurant management. It's like, geez, you guys are like, I've lived both your lives, kind of, sort of, and we're all going off in the same direction, because it's like, man, the heck working for the man, and and Chris, restaurant management. Holy cow, you got to hand your life over to that. Man, I'd rather work for myself and create my own stuff and take pride in it, because at that time, you could work a 10, 12-hour day and you don't really feel like you're working.
100%. I was just telling Josh the other day, my wife and I were sitting down to look at our taxes, and I realized this is the first year of my entire life since I was 14 and I started working that I won't have a single W-2 from anybody else. This year is the first year that I was doing just Scale Speed Garage, and I'm grateful. I mean, something that Josh touched on was just how supportive the whole community is. And yeah, there's a few bad apples here and there, as there are always, but for the most part, all of us that are in this hobby, that are running businesses in this hobby, are such a strong community. And there's none of this like trying to hide things from your competitors or trying to screw anybody over. I think we all really have an understanding, well, first a passion for this hobby, and an understanding that the more people that there are that are out there doing great things and doing things right with integrity and passion and creativity, the better this hobby is going to be for everybody.
Yes, exactly. And that's the thing. And you guys, as you are getting more known and you start going to different model shows and everybody gets to know you, you find out what a great tight-knit community it is, and how well received you'll be from everyone. It's a lot of fun. And like I said before, I've been doing it for decades now, and the best people that have come in my life, and some have left, but it's just been great people, and I've had great experiences, and all my closest friends, they're all model builders. It's the world I've been in.
I've met my best friends through this hobby. And that's the truth. I've literally met my best friends in this hobby, and it's crazy. And if you look back and you kind of like, man, it all started over this one kit. Like that first kit you ever touch. And I've got the first kit that I got back into the hobby with, and I look at it and I'm like, it's stashed way in the back of my stuff. So nobody sees it. But I always look at that one kit and I think, man, this kit is what brought me into like some of the best friends I've ever had.
Yeah, isn't it cool? It's a great community. That's why, and doing what we do with our channels and the podcasts and meeting great people that are producing stuff for all of us to enhance our hobby. It's really cool. And you guys are really, you pretty much have really kicked it off. This year is really where you guys have really started to get known, really get your rubber hitting the road, isn't it? Like you said, Chris, this is your first year you did your taxes. And
last year, probably, huh?
Yeah, 2023 with going to GSL. That was huge. Not only was that a great networking opportunity, but even more than that, it was just such a fantastic experience of new friends and meeting old friends, and just seeing what this hobby is truly about. Like, we'd been to plenty of other shows here locally, but GSL was an entirely different animal. And for me, it's certainly an experience that I'll carry the memory of forever.
Agreed. The GSL was a show that is, as strange as it might sound, it really touched the soul. There were just so many great people from all around the world, and just so welcoming. And for me, it kind of validated the risk that I had taken, because at that time I had completely left the auto industry, and I took this on full time, and that first year was terrifying. It was
I admire the heck out of that.
And that's got to be scary, dude, because I don't even know what I would. I've always thought about doing something on my own, but taking that first step is hard. It's got to be like, it's scary.
It was terrifying. And my wife was really supportive, but I have to admit, when I finally made the decision, I didn't really ask for permission. I asked more for forgiveness when I got home, and it seemed to work out pretty well. She had my back through the whole thing. She's been very, very supportive, and she has seen the transformation in me from being a miserable, grumpy old auto tech to I'm happy now. I leave the house, I have friends. This hobby, I'd agree with you, Chuck. This hobby has brought me some of the best friends that I've had. And I've only been back in the hobby for 3 years, and I've made some of the best friends I've ever had in my life in the last 3 years. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Totally. We all can relate to that.
I mean,
And what's cool, you guys are coming down here next week, huh? For a model show. And
Yes.
you're going to be at our Model Car Mafia meeting. So
Yep.
that means you guys are going to be Model Car Mafia members. Wow.
Right on.
Love it. We're
And
so
we are
excited.
Happy to have you. Yeah, we are happy to have you guys in. That's cool. That's going to be a fun night. That's going to be a fun full day, isn't it?
I'm excited.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that.
I got a question though, Josh. What kind of machine do you use?
So I'm using Elegoo's and Anycubics.
Okay.
Most of what I have on my bench is Elegoo's. I have a couple of older Elegoo Mars 2 Pros, a couple of original Saturns. I just recently stepped into a 12K Saturn 3, and I got a couple of Anycubics running around here.
Okay. Yeah, I was just wondering because your work is impeccable, dude. I mean, it's like Chris's work. I mean, I thought it's crazy.
Thank you. I a lot of what I learned is from that guy up there. So
he's wickedly good with the 3D printer.
He is amazing. A lot of my fine tuning of my knowledge comes from him. So he's taught me a lot. Thank you, Chris.
I appreciate that. I would say 100% though this is one of those situations where the student has surpassed the master, as it were.
Oh, how cool.
It's good work, man.
It's cool stuff, man. I've got a few of them. I'm getting ready to use one of your B&M shifters in a model I'm working on of an old super stock car. So I was really stoked to get some of those. But
did you
I'll be getting more.
Did you pick those up from Andy's from that big collection he had?
Yeah.
There was a lot of your stuff.
A lot of your stuff. And so when I saw, because I was the one who was going through it. So no, they never hit the shelves. That's the kind of creep I am. That's how I got paid, was by getting first dibs.
Well, I appreciate that, Luka.
No, man, these things are awesome. I got it like 2 or 3 different types of shifters. I had been talking to Chuck. Chuck was the one who first showed them to me.
Yeah,
and I had been
awesome stuff.
Oh yeah, I've been wanting to get those.
It means a lot coming from you, because I know you were real on the fence about 3D printed stuff for a while there. So
yeah.
And I'll be honest, when I first started resin casting, that's right about when you started bringing out some of your resin cast products again. And I was looking up to you as a resin caster, as you were casting some stuff that I wasn't necessarily on that skill level yet of getting nice, clean, consistent casts like that. So I looked up to you. So a compliment from you really means a lot. I appreciate it.
Oh, wow. I appreciate that too. Thank you.
He's okay.
I'm all right.
He's all right.
The thing with, old school guy here, and I don't plan on getting into the 3D printing thing. Not that I won't ever have one. I want to use 3D printing for masters. I kind of have, I got enough guys that'll kind of help me out with that. And I've already used some of the stuff that I make was 3D printed stuff, designed and 3D printed. And then I made the molds and I cast them. When it comes to small little parts, I already saw. That's why I don't mess with small parts anymore. I did that, 20 years ago. There's no way that the small part market, for just resin casting, old school way, no way. You guys can do way better than what I can do. And so that actually was a relief to me because I didn't want to do small parts.
Well, much faster and more efficiently too.
Yeah, just better looking. I mean, I can take whatever you guys make. I can make a mold of it and make something, I can cast it and it look just as nice, but I still would not be able to keep up the production. Now, where I'm with still where I think resin casting is king is on bigger stuff. And like my, doing my trans kits and conversion kits to change a car from one thing to the other. That's my thing. And also bodies. I'm going to be doing a lot of body kits and stuff like that. I do see with resin, it's gotten a lot better. I'm not knocking it, but I see with the bigger stuff with 3D printing, I think resin casting still is king with that. Like if you can 3D print a really good master, hand it to me and I make a mold and I can punch out. That's where I can be.
I don't know, man. You're talking to the masters right here.
I can do it. But the thing is what it's the problem with the resin when you get to the bigger stuff, and I know it's constantly changing, but it's brittle. It's better now. I know that. But where you had to do a 3D printed body, you had to have some thickness to it. Where I can resin cast it and then be as thin as like a styrene kit. But that's slowly changing where I might be completely out of business. And you guys, because I'm starting to see, well, I have some things going on right now that I'm getting to check out that are being printed on probably like the top of the line, high end stuff. Prototyping that this 3D printed resin that I'm messing with it. I'm not even supposed to talk about it, but I'll tell you guys. I'll tell you guys later. But this stuff is pretty scary for me. This stuff is amazing.
Yeah.
So
well, there's a huge
imagine
variety
what it's going to be like for you guys. In about a year or two. I mean, well, look at it. Like you said, in the couple of years that you've been doing it, look at how much the technology, both in the equipment, but also in the material, the resin material has changed in the past year or two.
100%.
Yeah. It's definitely changing my mind.
There's a huge variety in the quality of resin that's out there. And so when you see stuff that really has a tendency to warp or stuff that's really brittle, chances are that's just a cheaper resin. And, I'm going to give a plug here to my friends at Soraya Tech. I think they make the best 3D printing resin in the world. That's what Josh uses pretty much 100% for everything as well. And some of their stuff is just top notch. It doesn't warp. It isn't brittle. It doesn't crack like a lot of the other resins do.
Yeah, my computer just froze. So what resin did you say he used?
Soraya Tech, the Fast Navy Gray specifically, is hands down the best 3D printer resin for model car building that we've found.
Yep.
Huh. Nice. So you taking notes there, Chuck?
Yes.
Chuck, as a Scale Speed Garage member, you get a discount on that resin too. You get 18% off a bottle, buddy.
You sure do. You should use that because that is fantastic resin. It's, from the production side of it, it's a little bit more costly than some of the other commonly available resins, but for me, it's worth every extra penny to be able to offer a superior product to the end user. It's less brittle. It holds detail better. I'll gladly spend the extra money on my end to be able to get a better product out there.
Yeah, I'm using the Aqua AK.
I can relate to that a lot. Heck, what you're probably producing now is better than the parts that I got of yours. Those were probably made, a year or two ago.
Uh-huh.
So you know, your stuff is got to be better today than it was a year ago today. Because I just keep seeing the advancements in this stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, the printers are coming a huge way. I was telling Josh a few years ago, a friend gave me what used to be like a $2,000 top of the line laser SLA printer. And now it's worthless. Now now a $200 printer will outprint that machine all day long, and with less issues and less maintenance.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely changing. I mean, I'm probably going to have to step up and get a 3D printer to you know, make some things. I don't know if I will ever get into the production thing of it, but I don't know. We'll have to see. You guys might be putting me out of business.
How does it affect your guys' build time? You guys are building.
That's
my question.
What building?
Yeah.
It's close to non-existent sometimes. I've been trying to be much more diligent about carving time out of my days, out of my week, to get to the bench to build. Because I don't ever want to lose the passion that got me to where I am.
Yeah.
The passion that got me to running a business in this hobby, I don't want to lose that. So I don't do a very good job of trying, but I do try.
Yeah. I'm the same way. I do try to schedule it in my calendar, bench time in my calendar. Lately, we've been pretty busy with Scale Speed Garage and some other things. But I am getting very close to the point where I think I'll be able to bring my contract designer that I work with on a project basis, bring him on full time, which I'm really hoping will A, free up some time to get back to the bench, and B, free up some more time for me to kind of refine things like user experience and work more on the marketing. And so hopeful that translates into a lot more bench time for me, because I'm sitting at 2 or 3 builds a year that I'll complete probably.
You're doing better than me. I tell you, dude, that's what murdered my building was me getting into the resin casting years ago, and I stopped resin casting good 11 years, I think it was, up to counting up to when I had that little 6 month where I was producing last year. And I started getting going and starting a lot of projects. Finishing, that's a whole nother paint job for me. But I got a lot of started kits.
Yeah, you're reading a page out of my book, it sounds.
It's been really, really cool. I actually have been enjoying the model building again. And now here I am. I'm going to be having to kickstart back into getting out in the shop and making some I'm right now this week I'm making some new molds and trying to get a couple things out. I want to get back into the market by next week. And there goes my model building time. But hopefully I can find a balance, because I don't want to lose my model building like I did the last time. I really had a dry spell.
Ever since I bought a printer, my quality's gone up like 50%, but my build time's gone down 50%.
That's why I don't want to get a printer.
It definitely becomes a whole nother hobby.
It is.
Yeah, definitely.
It definitely is.
I know enough guys that are doing it that I think I'm fine right now. As far as like masters and stuff, right now I've got enough masters of the next few things I'm going to make. I don't need that. But that's where I can see 3D printing coming in with some of the masters that I need made and something I want to design. And Jim Rogers helps me out a lot with that. Like I said, I have 2 or 3 items that were completely designed by him and then printed, and then he sent me like a couple copies, and then I kind of at that time when I got those from him, I had to do a lot of work to them, you know, smooth them out and all that stuff. Now, if I ask him to print, I should have asked him to print me a new one instead of use the old master, because what he just sent me now, which is what he's printing now, and it's probably how you guys are printing, there's no lines. Everything's smooth. And it's just like, that's nice, starting to see everything start to smooth out more. I guess that's like what you would call, what would be the lines? Is that like the equivalent of a pixelation or? Well, I know it's all done in layers, but Chuck has been doing some stuff that's bent my mind. He's printed out some stuff that you don't see lines. It's really smooth. And
well, Josh just the other day showed me some parts that he had just printed on his new 12K Saturn III. And I tell you what, the surface quality there it may as well be styrene.
That's what I'm talking about. This technology is just, you guys staying up on it. I know that's what, talking to Jim and Rick from Salvino's JR Models, that's what they've been saying. And it's helped them out so much with bringing their styrene kits out, that they have been able to prototype things, and they're very close to what they're going to be like when they're styrene now, where they prototype something and the thing would like shatter in their hands.
Mm-hmm.
And it also just took a lot of work, and now they can prototype something and really, okay, we got to change this and this and this, and then they send it to the mold makers, and then they got that stuff nailed really good now. So this whole technology is not only, created where aftermarket like you guys are making better and better stuff, that it's also helping, if it's helping a small model car kit company like that, imagine what the technology is doing for, Revell and Tamiya and everybody, I'm sure they're using the same thing. Mm-hmm. It's just going to make our model kits even better. And also, the things that the model companies just, they can't do everything. That's where you guys pick up. And hopefully maybe me a little bit.
Well, we're seeing an interesting thing happening, talking about the printer technology advancing, is now we're seeing a thing, for the last few years, it was resolution increasing at just this ever increasing rate. Now we're reaching this point where additional resolution isn't really going to matter because it won't be visible to the naked eye. So now what we're seeing the printer manufacturers do more of is they're competing now more on the basis of giving us more kind of quality of life add-ons, like automatic resin refilling, heated resin vats, automatic leveling of the build plate, things like this. So I think it's going to be interesting to see kind of how the printer manufacturers pivot the advancements that they're making now.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I just bought that Revo, that new frozen Revo, the 14K. I don't think it's going to be much different than my 8K. I think it's going to be the same playing field.
For the most part, I think you'll struggle to see a lot of differences to the naked eye. The one thing I noticed going the print that Chris was talking about, for example, I had printed the exact same part on a 4K Anycubic machine. Or I'm sorry, no, it was a 6K Anycubic machine, and then exact same orientation, everything moved over to the 12K machine, and literally as smooth as plastic.
Wow.
But other than that, on the larger parts with big surface area, I don't know that the 14K is gonna be a substantial difference in like smaller parts. You can only get so crisp in the little details.
I don't know. You guys have been doing things pretty crisp in little details. It's like, those shifters, for instance, and I'm talking, I've got old ones, and I can't believe, and the carburetors that I've gotten from a couple other companies. I don't know if I've gotten carburetors from you guys, but unbelievable the detail, the crisp detail that was in that at that time. And now what you can do, geez, it's like I was talking to Chris. I sent a picture. hey, do you guys do this shifter? And oh yeah. So I got, it's the B&M shifter without the body or the metal box on it, where it's just all.
That's one of the show and tell files I pulled up for you.
Well, I tell you what, that's a excellent segue. Let's bring you up and let's see some of that stuff. What do you say?
Perfect.
And then we don't have to look at Chuck anymore.
That's
better.
All right. So we're gonna share screen. Hear me still?
Oh, there we go. Oh, look, we can do that.
Yeah.
I can get rid of Chuck, but
no, let's keep him around. Can you hear me?
Oh yeah. We're all
good deal. Awesome. So I wanted to pull up a couple of these because these are ones that you have asked me about. So this is our B&M ProGate shifter. I've got one of these that's going into a monster truck, mud truck build that I'm working on. The shifter you were just talking about, this one right here.
Holy mackerel.
And it's something that I come up against when I'm designing is I'll forget my sense of scale, but it's important to remember that this thing in real life is, maybe about that big. But one of the reasons that I put such detail into everything that we design is because with 3D printing, rescaling things is so easy that I want somebody to be able to download our 1/25th parts and print them at 1/8 scale for a big scale build and still have something that's going to knock people's socks off.
That's nice.
So, a little glimpse of that there. The next one here, we did a mud truck. We did an axle and transfer case file pack a while back. And this is a Rockwell 2.5 ton axle for mud trucks and monster trucks. But I pulled this one up really because I wanted to be able to show some of the detail, on the back of the brake drum there, for example. But if we hide some of this other stuff,
hold on tight.
Yeah. If I hide the axle housing,
holy mackerel. Well, that's just silly.
So again, I love putting this kind of detail in there. And, people will say, why are you putting that detail in there? It's going to get hidden when somebody builds it. And 90% of the time, 95% of the time, that is the case. But I also want to give guys stuff that they can print and detail and paint and put in a diorama, of a shop. This could be on a workbench. And just have that really, truly museum quality, jaw-dropping detail. And so that's really what drives me on design. Here's a Lenco transmission that we did for our drag racing file mega pack that came out about a year and a half ago now. And we did this thing all completely modular. So the different sections of the Lenco, we offered them in 2-speed, 3-speed, 4-speed, etc., pre-configured. But then we also offered the individual sections so that people can configure their own how they want them with the lever shift or air shift options. This Bruno converter drive with trans brake. Next up, one of my absolute favorites. Chuck is familiar with this one. So this is our Ford flathead engine. This is the stock configuration here. But again, these are all separate parts. We like to do as many separate parts as possible because I don't know about anybody else, but I hate trying to detail brush paint 8 different colors on one thing. I would rather have stuff that I can spray all one color and then assemble. But another look here at kind of some of the detail that we put into it, the carburetor, for example. And then if we go ahead and hide the cylinder head here, you can see, we put the pistons. If we pop open the bottom of the block here, it's got full crankshaft detail, and we actually go out and we look at firing order and all of those dimensions and data points. So this, the positions of the pistons are actually correct to where they would all sit relative to one another during the firing process on the engine. I don't have this one, unfortunately. This is the combined one, but when we released this file pack for some of our members in our upper tiers, we released a bonus file pack with all of the separate detail parts, even separated out further. So separate pistons, separate crankshaft, camshaft, connecting rods. And on that one, you could really see it pretty well, but I'll kind of show you here. I guess on this one it's filled in, but on the full detail one, the exhaust ports actually run through the block to the valves. The intake ports run through the block to the valves. Again, I want somebody to be able to print this at 1/12 scale and have something that a flathead builder looks at and says, wow, that looks like the real thing.
Wow.
When we did that, we also, the following file pack from that one, we released a giant pack of aftermarket speed parts for the flathead. So here you can see like the Offenhauser head, some aftermarket exhausts, dual carb intakes, air cleaners, things like that. So there's a good look at the flathead. We've done some diorama stuff as well. This is one that I absolutely love. So this is, you see them every fall and spring coming around for blowing out sprinkler systems, for example. So we did this towable air compressor here, but the hood is hinged on this thing. And if we move this out of the way, we designed this hinge so that you can actually run some rod through there and have a hinged part. But if we move that out of the way, you can see we did all of the stuff inside too. So there's our Cummins 4BT engine, the compressor component, the radiator and cooling fan, all of the piping, the gas tank, a control panel. This is, again, the detail that we love to give our members and love to give Josh's customers. I just geek out on this stuff when I jump into Fusion to do this design work. And then finally, last thing I'll show you here. This is one of our brand new recent products. Luka, I know you're really excited about this. You want to build a Datsun mini truck. Yes. I'm going to send you one of these.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So, we looked at the market and we looked at what we've done so far up to this point in our 2.5 years of being around. And we said, we've never done stuff for the JDM market. Most of our guys are more into the American cars and trucks and semis and things, but we do have a group within Scale Speed Garage that are really into the JDM stuff, and so we wanted to cater to them some as well. And I looked at the market and said, there are plenty of people out there that make lowering chassis for full-size pickup trucks. Nobody out there is doing it for the mini trucks. And there's plenty of JDM mini trucks that are out there, but also things like the Ford Courier, the Dodge D50, the Chevy S10. We all have kits of those as well. And so far there hasn't been anything for lowering those. And so we put out 2 file packs, actually just dropped the second one today. This one is from the first file pack. So this is a full independent rear suspension option. Pretty trick setup here with inboard brakes. This is a Nissan Skyline rear differential, but yeah, full independent rear suspension, coil springs. These coil springs are 3-piece setups so that you can print them. Yeah, wow. Josh has got one right there.
Real quick, let me pop him up.
Yeah,
look at that. Oh, that's silly. I have to.
Right.
That's
And if
awesome.
you notice the rear hubs on those, or the rear hub carriers, we built
Yeah.
in 3 positions. That was something that one of our members suggested in one of those weekly shop talk calls I was talking about earlier. Said, it'd be great if we could have like some steering knuckles and hub carriers that are sort of cheaters for lowering, where we have a few different positions. So we kind of designed that into the design for this, but everything here that's like a different color is a separate piece, so you see like brake calipers in here. But yeah, like I said, these coil springs are 3-piece coil springs. So there's a lot of adjustability in there as well. But we also gave our members different configurations for camber. The cambered look is really hot in the JDM market. And so we gave different upper and lower control arms to add in 4 degrees of camber. But yeah, so this was our second to last file pack that we just came out with. And then, like I said, we just dropped the most recent file pack this morning. Takes this basic idea. We added a few different wheelbase variations for some of the other mini trucks out there. This one was designed around the MPC Datsun, but now we've got this frame in 3 different wheelbases that'll cover basically any mini truck out there. And then the other big part of what we dropped today is a different configuration for the rear end. It's a more standard 4-link rear end with a Ford 9-inch rear axle back there.
That's cool. Lot of versatility you're creating there.
Mm-hmm. That's something we're big on. I always like to give guys, I love building the 3-in-1 kits, for example, and having so many different possibilities. And so I always try and carry that into our design sensibility when we're putting out designs as well.
What's so cool about this for me is, I don't know if you've seen it, but like over the course of I've been doing my channel for 6 years, and I've done like 2 or 3 videos. Like when my channel first started, my first vlog was, I was so excited about that MPC 70 whatever it was, 72 73 Datsun pickup coming back out, and I said, this is what I want to make with it. And then when I got it, I did a couple of videos of mocking it up and all this, and I was going to use a Skyline, one of the Skylines, and heck with that.
Now you got that.
I was going to try to make it right there. That's what I was going to make. And you just, that makes it more possible that I'll make that model now, because
these guys
scratch build that, I'll end up pooping out.
These guys will make you look good, Matt.
They'll make me look good. I need all the help I can get. Yeah, I'm super excited about that one. That one is, awesome. When you told me about that when we talked, I'm like, I have like 2 of those kits now, and I was just going through my models and found the one kit that I'm using, that I have set aside for that project. And I got the engine out of one of the Skylines. The ones, I think, to me, it did one Skyline that had an engine in it, and I was going to go ahead and use the chassis out of that and everything. But now, heck, you did it all for me. I'll take that. I'm looking forward to it. That'll be neat.
Another awesome file they did was that big block Chevy.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that, man. That was a great one. So many parts. You can build that thing any way you want.
Oh, there's so many goodies in there.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's cool stuff that you got going, you guys. And
thank you.
Sounds like you got a heck of a future ahead of you with, again, you keeping up with the technology. Your parts just are going to keep on getting better and better. And the way you're designing things, I know your enthusiasm. I don't know, Chris, how long we were on the phone together a couple weeks ago. Everything you were telling me that you guys are working on, and your enthusiasm, it's just like, I can't even predict what's going to happen. That's super cool. I'm sure people that are watching this have heard of you guys, but why don't you, and I'm going to put it into the description and all that stuff. But so there's basically 2 companies here. and for that's really, you got two separate markets here that you guys kind of take care of. There's the guys like Chuck who print their own stuff, and then there's the guys like me that just don't want to get involved and they'd rather buy a part. So why don't you guys, Chris, you could start off with what you do and your company and all that, and then Josh, and then what you guys do together.
Awesome. Well, yeah, again, it's scalespeedgarage.com, really the first and only true membership community of its kind online, where members get access to exclusive monthly 3D file downloads, how-to videos, troubleshooting help, the members community, which I've talked about, which is, I think, the coolest part of all of it, to me at least. Plus, vendor discounts and everything else. We do have a $1 first month trial, so it's a really low risk way to come in and check it out and see what we do. We also have a deal where you can get a 3D printer bundle where you buy an annual membership and get a free 3D printer. We've got right now, actually, I'll throw this out there right now. We have a few lifetime membership slots still available from a recent flash sale that we did, where that gets you in for one membership fee, no ongoing subscription fees. But I did want to tell your listeners or watchers or whatever format this is, Luka, I really, yeah, perfect. I want to let people know, yes, it's a business for me, so it exists to make money, but I definitely also want to help people get the best value that they can. And so I want to tell everybody, we are working on introducing a new files only membership. We have had a lot of people say, I just don't need all of the other stuff. I just want the files, but I can't justify the price, if I don't need all the other stuff. So we are working on introducing a files only membership that's going to come in at under $20 a month. And so if anybody's in that boat where they just want the files, I would say wait. You could maybe join for the $1 trial right now, see what it's about, but maybe just wait until we release that. Join our email list at scalespeedgarage.com, follow us on Facebook, and you'll be notified when we launch that files only membership. But if you're somebody that's wanting the extra stuff, the how-to, you want a little bit more hand-holding as you learn the process, I would say come join us sooner rather than later, because the prices for the other memberships are going to go up a few dollars a month when we launch that files only membership. So if you're just wanting the files, hang out a little bit, wait on it. If you're wanting everything, I would say jump in now, because you'll be grandfathered in at the existing price before those prices go up a few bucks. So again, and we're on all of the stuff. We're, website, scalespeedgarage.com, Facebook, Scalespeed Garage, Instagram, Scalespeed Garage, YouTube, Scalespeed Garage.
You do know, I told you guys can put anything you want on my Facebook group. I know I'll speak for Chuck. Chuck, I'm speaking for you because I really want to hear your voice. Chuck, and then BG's got his, and we all got the Facebook groups. By all means, throw your product up there. That's what that's all about, is to get that information out to the people. And Josh, where can we find you and find your fantastic hard parts that lazy guys like me can just buy?
So you can find all of our parts at VCGResins.com. We offer parts from the amazing designer up there, scalespeedgarage.com. We also offer parts exclusively from Scale Auto Model Works. I'm one of the only vendors that works exclusively with two designers. You won't find my parts available for print anywhere else other than VCG. Much as Chris said, for me, it's this is a business. This is how I feed my family. This is how I live. But we want to be more than just a parts supplier. We want to be a resource for the hobby. Tips and tricks. We we have spots on our website that lead our customers to your guys' YouTube channels. We want everyone to be able to get as much out of the hobby as possible. We have a builder showcase on our website that isn't about showcasing our product. That's what the store is for. We want to showcase the work that the builders have done, whether you've used VCG Resins parts or not. I love to see your built models, and I'll share them with the world. That's
what inspires us all.
We're all about being part of the community and being a resource. If you decide you want to move on from purchasing parts from me, there's your guy up there. Please go see scalespeedgarage.com. Sign up with him. That's your membership site up there. Also, on Colts 3D, go see Scale Auto Model Works. He has some fantastic designs out there, some great engines, chassis, suspension parts, transmissions. We're absolutely honored to be able to work with two of the leading designers in the industry. And that's what we aim to do, is continue to be one of the leaders in the industry and keep bringing everyone top quality parts and this pretty smile to go with it.
I've used all three of them, so
yeah, that's awesome.
One thing I want to throw out there for all of the viewers is if anytime you go to Josh's website, vcgresins.com, if there's something you have your eye on and it's currently out of stock, there is an option to be notified when it comes into stock too. So you don't have to keep going back to the website hoping you can find it. When he restocks it, you will know, and you can jump in and buy it right then.
Are you, Josh, are you going to be going to shows and selling at shows at all, or you're strictly just right now they can only get your stuff at your website, or do you sell to hobby shops?
So no hobby shops right now. You will find us at some local shows around. We do plan to start vending at least 1 to 2 national shows a year. That is our goal. You will actually find some of our product this year at the Midwest Scale Madness, put on by the Midwest Scale Modelers. We are working with them. They basically going to be kind of a remote vendors type deal. They're going to have a table full of VCG product to be able to offer to their customers. Just because the logistics of me traveling all the way to Wisconsin this year are not feasible. So we're kind of working on something like that and hope to be working on some more partnerships like that to get our product out there a little bit more.
Cool.
I need more hands though.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Print some.
Yeah, print some.
Thank you, Chris, for mentioning the notify me. I work really hard to keep as much in stock as I can. I'll never do the print to order stuff. I won't hold your money hostage while you wait for me to make parts for you. Yeah. If you have spent your money, those parts are on the shelf. They're ready to go in the mail on my next shipping day. Quick service, quick shipping is something we take a lot of pride in, but we don't produce in large batches. Quality over quantity. Our focus is always on quality. So sometimes you may have to wait a little bit for a product to come back in, but we kind of feel it's worth the wait. So
awesome. That's a great way to be. I'll tell you, I learned long ago, made the mistakes and all that stuff. And that's definitely the way to be about it. And you want to be the best, and you want to make sure you make everybody happy.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of hard work. I really commend what you guys are doing. Like I said, first of all, it's scary to stop having that 9 to 5 and do it all on your own. I'm getting ready to, that's what I'm working on right now and getting ready to get things kicked off. And I'm spooked, but man, you guys did. I look up to you guys for that. I'll tell you. So
Takes brass
thank you.
ones right there.
yeah, definitely.
I'll continue to work.
Yeah, but I know what you do, dude.
We need ditch diggers.
I wouldn't say you're a ditch digger, but I think so we can get around this country, we need what you do. But yeah, guys, I want to thank you guys for coming on. This was really cool, super informative. It's nice to let people know kind of the backstory and the behind the scenes stuff. We'll definitely have to get together more and do some things. You ever want to do any collab videos or anything on anything that you're doing? Give us a holler, man. You can do it with Chuck, but nobody watches his crap.
Nobody watches my crap.
Yeah, nobody watches it. You come to me. I got the bigger channel. So no, really.
Well, Chuck, I think you should be next. I think we should just go on circuit.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I want to
build something that's just exclusively you guys' parts one day, and just like something like that.
It's looking like that's going to be pretty possible here soon. All you guys got to do is like start punching out some body parts and stuff, and you got a whole.
We've got a bonus kit coming out later this year that I think you'll like. That'll be a whole kit.
There you go.
From tires to roof.
Let's do it.
Wow, that's cool. Cool. That sounds like right up Chuck's alley right there.
Yeah.
Me, I'll never build it. It'll just,
It'll look pretty on his bench.
Yeah.
Bunch of parts.
He'll be able to talk about it in like 6 successive podcasts. Oh, I haven't made any progress on this yet.
But I talk about it real well.
Yeah, exactly.
Talk about it real well.
That's a skill of its own, truly.
Yeah, I guess. I got to find something to do around here. Well, thanks a ton for coming on, guys. This was cool. I was looking forward to this podcast. And Chuck, thanks. But man, you got anything else to lay this thing out of? Tell anybody else? You got all your information out there. Again, down in the description below, we have links to both their websites. Go check it out. Go buy, or get the subscriptions. Print, all that stuff. But if you guys have watched this show in the past, or what I ask the guests, Chuck, you don't count. You were already a guest once, and we don't want to hear about your stuff. You guys know the closeout, how to do this. You guys want to take a crack at it? Like one of you guys do, however you want to do it. I'm gonna let you guys embarrass yourselves.
I don't know if I remember what it is.
Red. I didn't forewarn him, Chuck.
Karate here. Keep gluing them fingers together. Cutting that styrene. Here's the producers.
Oh, he didn't even say that other thing that he always says.
Why do you watch this crap?
Happened. I'm out of here.
Thank you guys so much. This has been a blast.
It's great. Thank you.
It's been amazing.